Naruto eventually becomes the Hokage of the Leaf Village, and with that, obviously he has the strength of a Kage to assume that post. And by the end of the series, even before Naruto became a Hokage, when he was technically a Genin still, he was already doing things that are far beyond Kage level. It's clear to anyone at that point that Naruto was powerful enough to become a Kage, but the interesting question is, when exactly did Naruto reach Kage level? He is the protagonist, he's the character we know the most about, we know the most about his life, everything he's trained, so we should be able to determine the exact moment when Naruto reached that level of strength. But before we actually determine the moment itself, we have to determine what even is Kage level. It's a term that has been thrown around a lot in the Naruto community, and it has almost gotten this esoteric meaning now, because you can't quite decide, right? It's difficult. The Kage have massive variability in strength. We range from Chojuro to Hashirama Senju. There's a big gap there. But I like to take the more loose definition of Kage level. Kage level is essentially the level of strength for a character to have in order for him to not stand out if the character became a Kage. Someone like Asuma Sarutobi, for example, if he became the Hokage, everybody would scratch their heads. Oh, really? Asuma? I mean, he's strong, but he's not that strong. He's not supposed to be the Hokage, so he wouldn't be Kage level. On the other hand, Sasuke Uchiha at the end of the war arc, for example, is obviously Kage level, but he isn't a Kage, because if someone of Sasuke's strength at the end of the war arc became a Kage, nobody would question it. And I'm using the term Kage level as a lower limit for the character's strength, because as I said before, Hashirama, you could say, is beyond Kage, but for all intents and purposes, the upper limits of the tier don't really matter for the sake of this video. So now, when did Naruto become Kage level? Let's take a look at Naruto's major fights during the series. Starting off with, surprisingly enough, Naruto Part 1. Some of you may be scratching your heads. Wait, what do you mean? Obviously, 12-year-old Naruto is not Kage level, but there is an interesting argument that can be made here. Because you see, at the end of the Chunin exam / Konoha Crush arc, Naruto fights against Gaara, who turns into his full tail beast form. So essentially, Naruto fights Shukaku at full strength and wins. Naruto fought a tail beast and won, something that usually is the job for a Kage. We see Raza, the 4th Kazekage, for example, had to contain Shukaku several times in the Sand Village when Gaara went ballistic. And sure, Raza beat Shukaku pretty easily, but that's because his golden sand is a hard counter for Shukaku's lighter sand, and even still, it is a tail beast after all. I don't think Kakashi in Part 1, for example, would have much of a chance of beating Shukaku. Now, maybe if he did something like Naruto did and woke Gaara up, he could beat Shukaku the same way. If Shukaku had quote-unquote swallowed Gaara into his sand as Gaara was sleeping there instead of just leaving him hanging outside of his body, then Naruto probably would have lost the fight because he wouldn't have been able to wake Gaara up. And that's what essentially wins Naruto the fight. Still, defeating a full tail beast seems like a Kage level feat to me. Now, yes, Naruto was only able to defeat Shukaku because of Gamabunta. Then again, he has the capability of summoning Gamabunta, which is a Kage level summon for sure. You just have to take a look at what he does against Shukaku and then what he does in the 3-way deadlock, for example, with that massive fireball. But I do realize it would be a little bit cheesy for me to say that 12-year-old Naruto at the end of the Chunin exams is Kage level because he beat Shukaku, and that's mainly because he only beats Shukaku due to the fact that he can summon a tail beast much more powerful than himself. Naruto without Gamabunta at the end of the Chunin exams there is pretty strong, especially when he uses the Nine Tails' chakra. We see the chakra flaring out of him as he's about to headbutt Gaara and wake him up. And up until that point, that's likely the highest Kurama amp Naruto had ever gotten. Maybe it rivals the one he got against Haku, but it's pretty even, I would say. But neither of those versions of Naruto are powerful enough to compete against a Kage, not even close. When Naruto uses the Nine Tails' chakra in the Forest of Death, for example, against Orochimaru, Orochimaru just kind of casually grabs him with his tongue and implements the 5-pronged seal to keep the Nine Tails' chakra calm. Orochimaru didn't have any trouble whatsoever. Now, yes, he realizes, oh, this could be problematic in the future because the Nine Tails is pretty powerful. Let me seal it! But it's not as if Naruto was giving Orochimaru trouble at that point. And yes, obviously he gets more powerful towards the end of the Konoha Crush arc, but it's not nearly enough for him to be considered a Kage level fighter. And if you want to say he's Kage level because he has Gamabunta, I won't blame you for it. But it would be kind of a one-trick pony scenario, and Naruto would be relying on the strength of someone else to be Kage level, which technically I guess you can say is fair game because somebody like Kiba, for example, has a fighting style that completely relies on somebody else, his little dog Akamaru, which gets big in Shippuden, and also the entire Inuzuka clan, for example. We also have Shino with his insects. He is relying on other beings to be strong, just like the entire Aburame clan. But I guess if you have a creature that's always with you, it's a little bit different than a summon. It's something that's going to be much more reliable, because sometimes you're not going to be able to summon Gamabunta. That happened a few times with Naruto summoning Gamakichi instead, or Gamatatsu in the Search for Tsunade arc. He can only bring Gamabunta forth when he has the Nine Tails' chakra amping him up. And when you take a look at Shino and Kiba, for example, their main jutsus are their companions, essentially. It's like saying Sasuke, oh, if he didn't have the Sharingan, he would be very weak, which is not true. But if Shino didn't have insects, he wouldn't be as strong. It's not the same thing as saying, oh, if Naruto didn't have Gamabunta, he wouldn't be as strong, because Gamabunta is not part of his main arsenal. It's a summon. So I won't say that 12-year-old Naruto at the Chunin exams is Kage level. I also won't say that Naruto, once he masters the Rasengan and nails that on Kabuto, is Kage level, even though he's getting much stronger at that point. And Kabuto was a Jonin who technically beat up Tsunade, the future 5th Hokage, in that very same fight. Naruto is still not Kage level and didn't win the fight. He was almost killed by Kabuto, and Kabuto didn't pass out after the Rasengan because of his healing factor. The next major fight would be the fight against Sasuke in the Valley of the End in Part 1, when Naruto uses the one-tail cloak for the first time. And even though Naruto is pretty strong at that point, he's still not Kage level, let's be real here. Now, it's fair to say that one-tailed cloak, Naruto, and Curse Mark II Sasuke are definitely Jonin level at that point. They would certainly give trouble to several Jonin in the Naruto universe. Maybe not somebody like Kakashi or Guy, but a weaker Jonin for sure. One-tailed cloak Naruto is not quite as powerful as a Kage. I can't really think of a Kage that could lose a fight to that Naruto. Maybe Chojuro, and that's not even a state Naruto can use very often. So it's a situational amp that allows him to reach Jonin level, but it's not reliable. Moving on to Naruto Shippuden, we have the infamous Naruto didn't learn anything during the time skip argument, which is kinda true. Naruto becomes better at using ninja weapons, at understanding the battlefield and tactics, at overall taijutsu, at using his shadow clones, but he doesn't learn anything magnificent over the time skip, and that's mostly because Jiraiya quit on trying to make Naruto mastering the Nine Tails' chakra because it was hurting Naruto more than it was doing good for him. And at the end of the day, the greatest technique Naruto learns over the time skip is a slightly bigger Rasengan, which definitely does not put Naruto at Kage level. In the Kazekage rescue arc, Deidara was kind of scoffing at Naruto's strength before the Nine Tails' chakra began to leak. He wasn't worried about Naruto at all before the Nine Tails' chakra. Even though Deidara didn't have both of his arms, no clay, he was armless, he could just kick Naruto, I suppose, and use a kunai with his mouth, and he was like, ah, this dude is not a threat to me. And just by a narrative standpoint, it wouldn't make too much sense for Naruto to become Kage level at the beginning of Naruto Shippuden when there's so much story yet to be told, and Naruto's personal goal is to become Hokage, so it has to happen a little bit later. Now, the next argument flashpoint's very interesting because it's the Tenchi Bridge arc, when we see the version 2 Four Tails for the first time, the fight against Orochimaru. Orochimaru, obviously a Kage level opponent, he literally killed the 3rd Hokage. He also killed the 4th Kazekage. Now, he doesn't have his arms because they were sealed by Hiruzen, but still, that version of Orochimaru is definitely Kage level. Like, if you put him against Chojuro, he is stomping Chojuro, I have no doubt about it. And version 2 Naruto was giving that Orochimaru a lot of trouble. One could even say Naruto was winning the fight, even though it didn't go all the way, because Yamato suppressed the Nine Tails' chakra, and Orochimaru's body was expiring, so he had to get out of there. We also know that version 2 Naruto almost killed Jiraiya over the time skip. Jiraiya, a Sanin just like Orochimaru, definitely Kage level. I mean, Tsunade is literally a Kage, and she's also a Sanin, so obviously, you know. So that's the answer, right? Version 2 Naruto at the Tenchi Bridge arc. That's when Naruto reaches Kage level. Not quite. Naruto had literally no control over his actions in that state. The hateful chakra of the Nine Tails was essentially making Naruto attack whatever he saw. And the Nine Tails itself was not in control either. It was just the chakra's hateful nature. So this is not a reliable state of power. Also, it's not something Naruto is actively trying to achieve because it's very harmful for him, and because Naruto doesn't have a will of his own when he is in that state. I cannot say that Naruto is Kage level at this point. Sure, the hateful version of the Nine Tails' chakra that forms the version 2 Four Tails is Kage Level, but Naruto is not. And we see that Naruto starts to lose his consciousness at the second tail. In the Kazekage rescue arc, when Kakashi had to suppress the two tails using that paper Jiraiya gave to him, Naruto was already kinda lost, and once he reaches the third tail, yeah, he's no longer really there, and the fourth tail much less. It's only the first tail that allows him to stay awake, essentially, and that's not good enough to me. No, the character needs to be aware of his surroundings and his actions for me to call it a Kage level feat and Kage level strength. The next arc is going to be the Akatsuki suppression arc, and this is when Naruto learns a big jutsu that he's aware that he's doing, not like the Bijudama. Naruto learns the Rasen Shuriken, and yes, it is only half completed by the end of the arc, but it allowed Naruto to beat Kakuzu, a very experienced Akatsuki member. Sure, Kakuzu didn't have two of his hearts, and Naruto had some support for that fight, but Naruto did a lot of the heavy lifting there. But was he Kage level though? Kakashi was absolutely impressed by what Naruto mastered there. He managed to infuse wind style in his Rasengan. We see Kakashi clashing his Rasengan, his regular old Rasengan against Naruto's wind style Rasengan, and his hand almost gets blown up. Then Kakashi looks back at Naruto and he sees Minato's back in Naruto, which is a really nice scene. And at the end of the arc, when Kakashi kills Kakuzu with a mercy kill, he tells Kakuzu, oh, you think you're powerful because you have a lot of experience and you're quote-unquote immortal, but no. The next generation will always surpass the previous one. It kind of implies that Naruto surpassed Kakashi at that point, but I don't really buy that. Yes, Naruto obviously has a new extremely powerful jutsu. Then again, Naruto has to land that jutsu, which isn't the easiest thing in the world, even though he was able to fool Kakuzu with 3 shadow clones, which is not something I like about the story. Kakuzu's defeat there was kinda easy. I'm just saying, I made an entire video about that if you were interested. And even though the Rasen Shuriken is an S-rank jutsu that will pretty much kill anybody it lands on, it doesn't mean Naruto is Kage level. It's kind of the same thing with Gamabunta, but in a bit of a different way. Just because Naruto has access to that jutsu, it doesn't mean it's gonna work against Kage level opponents, for example. And because Naruto can't throw the Rasen Shuriken yet, the Rasen Shuriken starts to damage his own hand and wrist, and that's very dangerous for him. So much so that Sakura tells him, yeah, you shouldn't use this jutsu anymore, like, at all, or you're gonna lose your ability to mull chakra. So even though it's powerful, it's still a very unreliable jutsu that hurts Naruto a lot if he uses it. And even if he uses it, it's still not that reliable. First, because in the first attempt Naruto did against Kakuzu, the jutsu fizzled out. But also, if Kakuzu had been a little bit smarter, if his IQ was 93 instead of 83 in that fight, then he wouldn't have taken the second Rasen Shuriken. That's just how it is. And other than the Rasen Shuriken training, Naruto pretty much remains the same character in terms of strength that he was in the beginning of Naruto Shippuden. So no, not Kage level. I would say he's definitely Jonin level at that point. Not quite as high as Kakashi, but not Kage level either. And the next major arc is going to be the Pain arc, and this is when Naruto learns something very interesting. Sage mode, which amps Naruto's durability, strength, speed, stamina. It makes his ninjutsu more powerful. It allows Naruto to toss the Rasen Shuriken, which is a massive improvement. And yeah, entering Sage mode is not exactly the easiest thing in the world because you have to remain still. You can alternatively create clones to gather Sage mode and dispel them so you can collect Sage mode instantly. However, when Naruto is doing that, he can't use more than 3 clones in the battlefield, which is a big nerf, especially in the fight against Pain there. But it allowed Naruto to use Sage mode for longer. Naruto also learns Frog Kumite, which allows him to essentially hit his opponents with ghost punches, which are very difficult to predict. He also learns a few additional Rasengans like the Rasengan Barrage, and much larger Rasengans as well. And I'm just talking about the Pain fight here. Obviously, Naruto's gonna learn even more stuff with Sage mode later on. Naruto's also much more connected to his summons, and now that he has had some Shadow Clone training for the Rasen Shuriken and knows how to use the Shadow Clones collectively, coming up with interesting strategies and cornering his opponent, that's also very helpful to him, and it increases his strength. He kills the Naraka Path by absolutely outsmarting Nagato, and some of the things he does against Pain are just insane, like tossing the Animal Path Rhino into the stratosphere is never gonna get old. And even when Naruto runs out of Sage mode, we see that he can actually hold his own against Tendo Pain. He was doing kinda well in the Taijutsu exchange against the Deva Path. Yeah, the Deva Path was pressuring him and Naruto was kinda losing the exchange, but still. He was able to hold his own until he got Sage mode again, and then with a single kick, he launched the Deva Path away and was just like, no, yeah, I'm stronger than you. He even broke the Rinnegan rod with his bare hands, like with his skin, which is something kind of impossible. Every time that rod pierces something, it pierces through, except when Naruto is in Sage mode. so that's extremely impressive. And obviously Pain is a Kage level fighter. I'm not even gonna have to explain that too much. I mean, look at what he did to the Leaf Village, for example. And even though Naruto loses to Pain, Sage Mode Naruto, as you can see here, he gets stabbed by Pain several times at the end of the day, still manages to take out 5 paths of Pain. Yes, Pain was a little bit nerfed because the amount of chakra he had spent on the village and the invasion and everything before Naruto arrived, and also destroying the entire village with a catastrophic Shinra Tensei, meaning he couldn't use Shinra Tensei for a while against Sage Mode Naruto in the beginning of the fight. Pain still recognizes Naruto as the strongest opponent he's ever fought, and that nobody had ever pressured Pain to that degree, killing 5 out of 6 paths. Jiraiya killed 3, and Pain revived them because he had an Naraka path in reserve. So yes, Sage Mode Naruto is Kage level, which means the exact moment Naruto reaches Kage level is that moment when Naruto is standing on top of that stalactite or stalagmite, I don't know, that very tall spire of stone, balancing himself on that stone tablet, very still, gathering sage energy, when his eyes gain the sage circles, becoming orange, and that's when he gets Sage Mode, using it perfectly for the first time. It happens at chapter 418, so a little bit past the midway point of the series, and obviously after that, Naruto only gets stronger, until he eventually becomes Hokage, for real. Now, if you want to see how Sage Mode Naruto would do in a fight against every single Akatsuki member, click the video on your screen right now. Don't forget to like this video as well, and subscribe to the channel. Also, ring notifications so you make sure you always get my videos. Those things are very important, and they only take 5 seconds, so please do them, and thank you so much for watching.